Welcome to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Crayden. When we come back in mere moments, is this all a distraction? This India thing? Is Justin Trudeau looking to change the channel? Couldn't be. We'll find out.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, please like the channel right now if you can, because it helps us beat YouTube suppression. And we've done that recently, if you've noticed. And thank you for subscribing. You've done that in the hundreds. Let's make it in the thousands if that's not wishful thinking. So please subscribe today if you haven't, or resubscribe if you've been unsubscribed, as YouTube sometimes does. And I just want to thank you so much for your support and being here, being a part of the station, being a part of the resolve to resist movement that Crayden's Right has become, and giving you all the news you need to know. Now, I'm just absolutely skeptical about this whole matter with India. Suddenly, we're supposed to believe. Now, let's watch the news conference here first. And this is right after the RCMP announced that public enemy number one in Canada, those damn Indian diplomats.
The RCMP commissioner stated earlier, they have clear and compelling evidence that agents of the Government of India have engaged in and continue to engage in activities that pose a significant threat to public safety. This includes clandestine information gathering techniques, coercive behavior targeting South Asian Canadians, and involvement in over a dozen threatening and violent acts, including murder. This is unacceptable. While attempts have been made by the RCMP and national security officials to work with the Government of India and Indian law enforcement counterparts on this matter, they have been repeatedly refused. This is why, this weekend, Canadian officials took an extraordinary step. They met with Indian officials to share RCMP evidence which concluded 6 agents of the Government of India are persons of interest in criminal activities. And despite repeated requests to the Government of India, it has decided not to cooperate. Étant donné le fait que...
Now look at old Bozo here. He can't even tie his tie correctly. It's always askew. That suggests something to me. Maybe his mind is askew. Maybe he's fabricating something here. Do you trust the RCMP to tell the truth? Do you trust the RCMP to be investigating the right thing? They won't investigate Justin Trudeau, but my God, they're quick to come to his rescue when it comes to India. India's to blame for all this. Thank you very much. It is beyond belief. But of course, he's in trouble right now, isn't it? What's the real issue here? Ooh, Liberals unveil new campaign directors as MPs push to oust Trudeau. That's the real story here, folks. Trudeau is fighting for his political career, his political life. There's a petition going around. We've reported on this. I'm not going to go on about it ad nauseum this morning. We've reported on the petition that's going around with Liberal MPs. It's going around right now as we speak. The House is not sitting this week, giving these MPs, these rebel MPs, the perfect opportunity to get this thing signed, sealed, and delivered to Trudeau's desk when he's back to work. Now, he was supposedly back to work yesterday. Oh yeah, we've got to get down to work, roll up our sleeves, fight for Canadians about security. Does it worry you at all that the 3 MPs up there, including the Prime Minister, were all from Montreal? Now, I find this rather worrisome. Your security is in the hands of these 3 MPs, and the Public Safety Minister, the Foreign Affairs Minister, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. It's worrisome. It's very worrisome. Yes. So why would Trudeau have a problem with India? And we're supposed to believe that India is so consumed with bloodlust. Their diplomats are so focused on mayhem and murder that that's what they're doing in Canada. And this has got nothing to do with Justin Trudeau deliberately interfering in Indian politics. That's what he's done. Here's some stories I wrote quite some time ago when I was the Ottawa bureau chief for the Daily Caller. Now, we covered this story very, very well. It was comical, but tragic at the same time. There's Trudeau with the family appropriating traditional Indian clothing, which you're not supposed to do if you're a woke liberal. You're not supposed to appropriate other people's cultural identity, but that's exactly what he did. And he preened before the camera every day, looking like he was just one of the locals. So comfortable. And of course, while he was there, he was up to no good. He was liaising with Sikh separatists, terrorists in the Punjabi region. And he actually invited a Sikh separatist who was guilty of an attempted assassination onto a state dinner. He invited him to a state dinner, and he worked very hard to interfere in Indian politics all the time Trudeau was in India. There's another story I did about that. Sikh separatists proclaimed Trudeau's trip to India a success. He does their job very well. Now, this is from 2018, February 25th, 2018. I remember writing the story for the Daily Caller at the time. And this was bombshell news that Trudeau was deliberately interfering in Indian politics. And he continues to do so. Now, how are the Indians reacting to this? I've got some great stuff to show you, but stay tuned because you won't see this on the Canadian news. Watch the Indian news if you want a different perspective on the war, especially when it comes to the war in Ukraine, for instance. They don't just mouth the NATO US talking points like Justin Trudeau does. They actually do some analysis about why this war might not be a good thing because it could develop into a nuclear war. And maybe it's time for some peace in the region. But Indian news is interesting because, of course, they just despise Justin Trudeau for what he's done. He goes to their country and makes an absolute fool of himself and interferes in the political system. And you remember the last time he was there for the G20? The Prime Minister of India completely ignored him. Modi completely ignored him because he's got no time for this clown. And then there was the accusation that there was cocaine found on Prime Minister Trudeau's jet. Never heard another peep about that, did we? But it was a credible source. An Indian diplomat said, hey, yeah, that's why it didn't leave the runway for so long. They were looking for cocaine. Now, former Foreign Affairs Minister Peter McKay spoke to Indian News, and he thinks, well, let's put it this way. He implied very strongly he thinks this is a ruse by the Trudeau government to take the attention, the focus off of his own failings, his government's failings, take it away from the fact that his political life is hanging by a string, that we're on the verge of a federal election. He wants to use this to look like he's a good guy and really looking out for you. Let's watch it. This is how the Indian media is portraying.
We told the Canadians that this is not the government of India's policy. Two, we told the Canadians saying that, look, if you have something specific, if you have something relevant.
The Indian media is going absolutely crazy because Trudeau is not credible. They're replaying a lot of this. Oh, there he is. Yeah, you better start praying for your political career, just because it is such a joke. Man made a mockery of Canada while he was over in India. His eyes hit rock bottom. Get those group colors out. No, again. Yeah, there he is. There he is doing his thing. They run through a number of stories. There's been so much going on. And of course, this is all about the killing of this Palestinian terror. And Trudeau had been adamant that India was behind this murder, day one. one of the rare Modi actually. Not impaired. No. And as I said, what Trudeau has been alleging with it has been based on, I would like to see some solid evidence, because it's always, we think persons of interest. And this is all a huge distraction from Justin Trudeau. Now let's watch Peter McKay's interview. This is fascinating.
There's also, a very volatile political situation with our federal government, including news that members of the Prime Minister's own party are now calling on him to step aside. There's been a lot of...
Peter McKay nails it on the head. What's the real issue here for Justin Trudeau? The Caucus Revolt. So let's create another incident. Let's focus our attention over here. Divert your attention over here so you don't have to think about the Caucus Revolt, which is the most pressing concern for Justin Trudeau right now.
Intrigue building over the last few days while the Prime Minister was traveling abroad. And I recall that this last blow up, if you will, of diplomatic relations does cause distractions from within the government and their own internal problems. But I would hate to speculate that these two things are connected. I wouldn't want to think that a murder investigation and an ongoing trial that will happen in Canada would play out in such political fashion. I was not only a politician, but a prosecutor, and right. I think there is a very, very strong line that should never be crossed. And yet we seem to be in that gray zone now in ways that are unhelpful to both the judicial system, but they certainly don't engender a lot of confidence among the public and the growing cynicism that already exists in public and diplomatic circles.
Peter McKay, we have seen the kind of vandalism and defacing of Hindu temples that's taking place with anti-Hindu graffiti. Quite a few times, even Mahatma Gandhi's statue was vandalized, and despite...
I didn't even know about this. This is what Trudeau's words and actions are. Now we have statues of Mahatma Gandhi coming down because this is deemed as the right thing to do because now they're the enemy. It's incredible. I didn't even know this.
India's appeal to Canada to investigate such matters, requests are falling on deaf ears. More importantly, India's National Investigation Agency and Punjab Police are investigating terror-related activities and violence by SFJ leader and pro-Khalistani separatist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who is, of course, a designated terrorist in India. What does it speak of Ottawa's approach to the issue of Khalistan separatism and anti-India hatred in Canada?
Well, it's part, again, of a very dark narrative that I think many countries, including Canada, have been dealing with of late. A lot of hatred, racism. You refer specifically to the issues around...
This fascinates me. Here's Peter McKay is saying that this is racist for Justin Trudeau to be attacking the Indians like this, or attacking India. I mean, talk about turning this on Trudeau's head, because Trudeau, of course, is always crying foul about racism. Trudeau's always claiming to be the one fighting racism. What is he doing here? He has demonized an entire country, suggesting that their diplomats are over here up to no good at all, doing nefarious deeds, and that they have to all be back.
Separatists or terrorists designated in your country and in some cases in ours. Harjeet Singh Najjar, the victim of the alleged assassination style killing in British Columbia in 2023, was on that designated list, as I understand, in India. So these are very serious life and death type of scenarios. And, you know, if things were reversed, and I don't want to draw too strong a comparison, but if we had a separatist element in your country who were stirring dissent about Canada, this would inevitably lead to, strong diplomatic attempts by Canada to have India to cooperate. And what I fear we are experiencing here is a breakdown, not only in communications, but the ability of our security services to act on information, to carry out proper police-style investigations to stop the activities that you've referred to root out the cause and the individuals who are involved, not only in graffiti, but more importantly in acts of violence or intimidation or acts that lead to, in worst case scenarios, killing, extrajudicial killings in the case of Mr. Nijar, it seems. And so there is a lot at stake, and we need our governments at the highest level to be able to communicate and cooperate in ways that protect our citizens, yours and ours. And that's unfortunately now being questioned in both countries, and I'm very, very concerned about that.
Mr. McKay, political analysts are of the view that this is the last straw for Justin Trudeau, whose government was dependent on NDP, whose leader Jagmeet Singh has openly espoused a separatist ideology vis-a-vis India. The polls are indicating that the...
Did you catch that? This Indian host just said Jagmeet Singh is associated and has aligned himself with these terrorists. Very true. Nobody wants to talk about that in Canada. Nobody wants to talk about Jagmeet Singh. He's a coward. He pretends otherwise. But is this about appeasing Jagmeet Singh? This is nobody has raised this, and I'm fascinated by McKay's response to this, because this woman hits the nail on the head. She's spot on. Is Trudeau trying to appease Jagmeet Singh with this as well? Is he trying to kill two birds with one stone? Distract Canadians' attention from the Caucus Revolt and get Jagmeet Singh back online by doing something for Jagmeet, scratching Jagmeet's back, because Jagmeet wants Trudeau to go after India as well. Jagmeet Singh's heart is with these Khalistani separatists. That's where Jagmeet Singh's heart is. Now, fascinating response.
Conservatives are on a strong footing compared to Trudeau's Liberal Party. Is there a deliberate attempt to mitigate the damage because of Trudeau's own precarious position?
Well, it's a very curious dynamic that exists with respect to how the Liberal government have been essentially propped up or kept in power by the NDP, who have a Sikh leader who has seemingly expressed pro-Khalistani sentiments. And I would again hope, and I don't want to believe, that this has factored into this imbroglio and this very serious breakdown in diplomatic relations between India and Canada. But there is a lot of circumstantial evidence pointing to that. And yet, I come back to what is the most serious part of this, and that is the very, very far-reaching implications it has for Canada, for India, for our people, our collective goodwill. When I hear the Indian government saying it doesn't have faith in Canada's ability to protect its diplomatic corps in Canada, that's of great concern. And it makes me question our own diplomatic safety, not just in India, but abroad. We can't afford to have this type of tension and outright hostility between allied countries. We need to be able to rely on our friends more than ever. We don't have to look more than watching the nightly news to see how things are deteriorating and the world geopolitically seems to be coming apart at the seams. We need to be able to rely on friends and allies more than ever.
And McKay is treading very softly there. He says, I don't want to believe it. That means he does believe it. He does believe this is all a political ruse. Justin Trudeau is up to no good here. And I'll say it again. I think Peter McKay is a credible individual. This is somebody who served in the cabinet of Prime Minister Stephen Harper for 9 years. This is a man who served as a member of Parliament in Nova Scotia for many years. And I know Peter McKay personally. And like I say, I don't always agree with everything Peter McKay has said or done, but he's an honorable man. He's a credible man. And he will look you in the eye and tell you what he really feels about something. Now, he's being careful here because all the facts are not known. But it's clear he believes that Justin Trudeau is distracting here because of his own political failures, because there's so much brewing against the Liberal Party. There's a scandal right now that's going to erupt even further, the Green Slush Fund. We've been reading about that. I've been talking about that for the last week. You know what that's about. Hundreds of millions of dollars taken from you, the taxpayer, and given to friends of the Liberal Party. That scandal has not even started to erupt. It is just on the verge of becoming the largest political explosion perhaps in Canadian history. Justin Trudeau's leadership is on the line. He's got a bunch of dissident MPs. I'm hearing up to 50, who are now saying time for Trudeau to go. That could reach 100 by the end of the week because they've got lots of spare time. The House isn't sitting. Justin probably is saying, be nice to have the NDP in my pocket again, not to hear Jagmeet Singh go on about ripping up this agreement. So maybe that's about this as well. Maybe Trudeau is focusing on these evil Indian diplomats to appease Jagmeet Singh. Peter McKay said, I hope that's not the case. I hope he wouldn't stoop that low. Do you believe Justin Trudeau would stoop that low? I do. I think I know that from watching this man's political career. And you know what? What really is amazing to me is how brazen this man is at pretending he's not being motivated by crass politics. Oh, that's for those other folks. That's for people like Pierre Poilievre, who just wants power. No, Justin says, I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here to talk about getting to work for the Canadian people. Now, I've said this on a number of occasions. I hope it's not becoming nauseatingly familiar. But it's very true. Justin Trudeau will do anything to distract from his own narcissistic ego. And it's about Justin Trudeau. When Justin Trudeau says it's not about me, you know it's about him. When Justin Trudeau says it's not about politics, you know that's precisely what it's about and nothing else. So be very careful about what's going on here with India because you know Trudeau is a habitual liar. And he will use any incident he can manufacture or discover in defense of his political future. And like Peter McKay, I don't really think that's where we want to be as a country, to have a prime minister that's that amoral. But I think that's exactly where we indeed are. So keep an eye on this scandal because Justin Trudeau will do whatever he can this week to distract you from the real issue for him, which is that petition. That petition that continues to grow with the number of names on it in the signatures. Well, we've reached the end of another session here. Thank you so much. Does it feel like October 15th to you? Well, we're almost midway through the month. By the way, hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. I did, even though I was working all day. I hope you had a wonderful time with your friends and family. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'll be back again tomorrow, as I will every day. This is a 7-day-a-week commitment, and I promise to be there to bring you all the news you need to know so you can continue to resolve to resist. Here on the outskirts of Ottawa, I'm David Crayden, wishing you a great day, and see you tomorrow.